Uh, Good afternoon. So it's only right that I introduce this project by introducing its clients. So this residence was designed for a doctor-wife couple, both of whom are deeply religious and they prioritize their rituals and gatherings, and hence we have given the title Faith, Family, and Farm. The challenge arose from the linear orientation of the plot. The adjacent land with the same ownership was a dedicated plantation, and the plot had access from the southwest corner. This conflicted with the client's cultural belief of having an east-facing house, and that's how faith came in. The timely puja meetups with the family and the community needed its own set of spaces, and thus family came in. We here found a balance through a concept of tilting only the entrance hall towards the east, providing a spiritual entry point, at the same time trying to maintain the privacy of the rest of the house. The kitchen had to be equipped with its own set of garden spaces so that it aligns with the client's preference for a communal cooking during their religious events. In line with the climatic consideration, the southwest facade intentionally lacks large openings, but at the same time incorporates small jalis into the courtyards and to the gardens that facilitates the flow of the wind. Each zone has a character of its own. It's a play of volume that leads us through each of its spaces. The additional height portions in the project and the portion of drains incorporated into its terrace areas services are the practical requirements for the clients that encompasses their activities like drying clothes, occasional material storage, and the maintenance of their ritual accessories. However, this design also allows for the potential expansion into a gym space or other functional activities with the installation of solar panels that could come up in the future, at the same time mitigating direct heat gain into the building. A very simple placement scheme has been used throughout the plan, with all of its spaces opening towards the garden that connects with its functions, and the rest of the spaces opening towards the plantation, maintaining the privacy for the clients. This design upholds its aesthetics and its uniqueness, and the elements contributing to it is derived from addressing the on-site climatic conditions. The project is situated in a context which is currently a plantation, where the left side is, as said, a dedicated plantation of the same clients, but the right side has scopes of a neighborhood community bringing up. A due gratitude is due for the clients for providing us with the design freedom, at the same time joyful constraints that led us to this design. This design, at the same time, tries to reimagine elevations as an essence of what we conventionally call a home. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's move on to the question and answer session.
Thank you for that. I'm just wondering, and these are questions because, or they're not really questions, there are certain thoughts which are emerging that, let's assume that we are situated now in an unbuilt section. Yeah, this is an unbuilt. The freedom of an unbuilt is that it may not be or may be restrained by the fact that it is actually going to be built. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up, and that's what we were discussing as jury, is that many times the unbuilt may throw up, and I'm sure most of us architects have enough unbuilt in our own offices also. So we know a relationship of the unbuilt, and that the unbuilt gives a promise or a possibility to think little laterally also, because it's still unbuilt, so it gives us a little more freedom. on looking at other ideas that may provoke us when we're doing that project, you know. And because you pointed out to a very important thing on the search, and in today's context even more, the search for what do we mean by home? What is the search for home? What is the nature in which relationships in a family are changing, you know? Is the home a footprint of a very strong patriarchal society? Is the home still carrying the memory of certain divisions of privacy and layering, you know? So given the fact that we are situated in an unbuilt, I may not have raised it if we were in the built section, where do you see this sense of home meandering in a present context? I mean, to be provocative, someone said this is a sense of home 20 years ago. This is only for provocation, not that we feel that. But so what is the sense of home which is more dynamic, probably even more volatile, rapidly changing, communication between generations changing? So how did that come into being? Because the client, you also said the patron is very religious, you know. So the patron also would be situated between a sense of religiosity which was born maybe 2000 years ago or 1000 years ago, you know, that it was and the modernity of change, shift, maybe not believing, you know, all these other issues are coming. So I'm curious to see how that may have manifested in this sense of home.
Yeah, so in this design or in any design as such, if it's unbuilt, what I or us as architects, we believe is that it's black and white. It's the religion and the faith that the client had can be black, but what we interpret from it may be white. So this home and the concept can be something of the future, but the faith and the people living it could be rooted to their culture from years back. So this area here is gray because it's unbuilt and we had the freedom to build on its design. So I would say this design here is where we tried to find that gray in between our concept of having a home and their concept of having faith and religion and all that ritual activities in it. So yeah, this project is that gray space in between that white and black.
We have time? So, my question is not so much only to you. My question really is to this category of unbuilt.
Yeah.
And therefore, by default, to all the three projects. Like Durganand said, you know, our office drawers are filled with more unbuilt projects than built projects. The question really is, why is it unbuilt? Does any other profession have in its category of awards an award for something that didn't get done? Right? Would you give a doctor an award for a surgery he didn't perform or she didn't perform? Which means that there has to be something intrinsic to this idea of unbuilt, which is why we celebrate that idea of unbuilt.
Yeah.
Right? What is that intrinsic quality of unbuilt that we celebrate through this award? And to my mind, two very important things make it unbuilt. Currently, what we are seeing is a certain chronology which is making it unbuilt. Effectively, like the previous two projects said, that these are under consideration and they're likely to get built. Right? So it is simply a matter of chronology that they are unbuilt today. They'll be built tomorrow. Yet we have some of us have projects in our offices we know will not just be built because it is almost not possible to build them. And yet we have those projects. Which means that the question of unbuilt projects, which came from a history of imagining utopian situations, which came either from imagining societies way beyond what we are living in present, or a critique of the manner in which things were being done. It was a critique of the status quo. And I personally didn't find either of the three projects capturing that imagination of something that is provocative, yes, but challenging the manner in which we do things. It's a path-breaking thing which today is maybe way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It may, like if you look at some of the Archigram or Bucky-Fuller or any of these projects, or Boulez with his big dome, these are projects in history we keep going back to. They never got built, but they were imaginations of a society to come.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe here I would say it's because of the hope that we all have that our designs would be built at some point that keeps us grounded to these designs. So yeah, I get the idea of how unbuilt projects have the scope of imagination in it. But yeah, for us, it's this hope that this at some point we have the pleasure of having our designs seen built that keeps us grounded. Yeah, I agree with what ma'am said. Unbuilt projects, and we have such a category because of the possibilities of imaginations we have in it.